Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Mental Health Impact Series show. Today is season 2, episode 15. I am very excited to be here today because we have a very special guest with us. Before I invite her on, I wanted to share some key facts with all of you that's tuned in. Did you know clinical psychologists provide many types of treatments for clients with psychological, emotional, and behavioral disorders? Did you know the global economy loses about 1 trillion US dollars per year in productivity due to depression and anxiety? Did you know that your mind has an identity response from the body cells? Without any further ado, let's welcome Dr. Yasmin from New York City. She is a licensed clinical psychologist. She is the founder of Madison Park Psychological Services, and she is an author. Did you know Dr. Yasmin Saad, also known as the Y Psychologist? She is a top rated New York City licensed clinical psychologist. Dr. Saad sees health issues, and I absolutely love this. Dr. Saad sees health issues as symptoms meant to guide people to better life. How beautiful is that? Without any further ado, let's welcome Dr. Saad to our show. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's such a pleasure to see you in live,
I
in
know.
rather. How are you doing today? How is your day coming along?
My day is starting great. I usually start my day with a bit of an energy practice. So I did that, and here I am, and very happy.
That's beautiful. Could you tell us a bit about that energy practice? It was really intriguing.
Yes, absolutely. I actually, it's in the chapter that I wrote in Ignite Possibility, how to transform pain into empowerment. So that was my own journey that led me to Qigong. Qi means energy, Gong is movement. It's based on traditional Chinese medicine. Qigong is basically the foundation of acupuncture, Tai Chi, martial arts. And so there's simple movement that you practice and that rebalances your body. It's almost like, 20 years ago, I was introducing yoga to people and I was telling them, stretch your body will calm your mind. Now I tell people, do those simple movements and you will feel better.
That's so amazing. I'm going to look into this, doctor. Thank you so much for sharing.
Of course.
Okay, awesome. So I have to be honest with you, our team at Reach Out Together, everyone has been very excited to hear from you. So everyone has been excited to hear your thoughts, your wisdom, and spread a bit of awareness. So let's start today. I think one of the questions everyone had was to learn more about your journey as an individual that has brought you to become a clinical psychologist. And you're an award-winning clinical psychologist. You have helped so many people. And we're interested in knowing more about your individual journey. How did you get there? And also, how has that been different from living as a clinical psychologist in terms of the quality of your life?
Yes. Okay. I'm happy to share. So, my message to everyone is follow your passion. So, I grew up in Paris and I was in a mathematical section at school and I was set to go to, business school. I was, a high performer and that was the path. And one day I was like, there's no way I can do this. Like, it doesn't fill my heart, doesn't bring impact. Managing money is not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I looked at who am I and what do I like? And if you notice, I have a melodious kind of a tone. I have a calm tone to my voice. And very early on, people would come to me for advice, for soothing. They liked my presence. And I remember saying, this is what I want. And so I went home to my mom and I told her, I figured out I'm going to be a psychologist. And she was like, it's made for you. Go for it. And then I told my dad, and he was like, what? Are you crazy? Every psychologist needs a psychologist. Psychologists are crazy themselves. What are you doing with your life? And, but I warned you, but you do what you want. So I did what I wanted. And his worry was that I could not provide for myself, that I would be listening to a lot of problems all day long, that it will impact me. And so my advice to people is listen to the message, because there was a good message there. You know, this is not a bad message. How will I take care of my mental health? Taking care of other people. How will I support myself? And he had taught me to always achieve, be a high achiever. And I told him, I'm just going to be the best. And without knowing it, I became a psychologist in Paris. And then I was 23 and I was like, who's going to see a psychologist at 23? And so I decided I'm going to come to the States and I'm going to further it, and I'm going to get my PhD. And, you know, fast forward, now I'm top three, you know, psychologist in your city. So I honored him and I honored myself. And so for everybody's journey, we all have our own unique journey. Honor your heart, but don't disregard your parents' message. There is a good message. And the message was not to listen to him tell me no to psychology. The message was, okay, what is his concern? He's right. How am I going to take care of it? And so always attend to the message underneath. They're meant for you, they're meant for your path, and they're meant for your purpose.
That's beautiful, doctor. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how has, now that you are one of the top three rated in New York City, that's amazing, by the way. Thank you so much for everything you continue to do, for persevering to pursue this career, because of that, you're now helping so many other people. But what does a day look like in a psychologist's shoes? Like, would you say, I'm trying to create awareness here for mental health professionals as well, right? You know, just because someone has gone through the training and now is helping other people, we still face challenges, right? And that's what if you're able to shed a bit of light on that, that even psychologists, therapists, counselors, they still have to take care of their well-being. So how has that journey looked like for you?
Yes, absolutely. So I believe everybody, you know, is on a journey for growth. And growth comes with obstacles and mental obstacles. So I don't see anxiety as a problem. I see it as something calling your attention. So as a psychologist, you know, you do digest a lot of other people's emotion. The
Yeah.
question is, what do you do afterwards with it? If you do not have a practice to rebalance yourself, you're gonna, like, the emotion are gonna stay with you. And when they stay with you, your mind picks up a fire alarm, and then it starts thinking and resolve. And then you start having your own mental health problems. So for me, my journey, you know, has been one of always observing, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What the links, you know? So I've studied my body and my mind in such a deep way to really understand, okay, I'm overthinking now. What happened? Oh, I received this anger from this person, that trigger overthinking. Is there a relationship? There is a relationship. Wow, now I discovered this new thing and I now know how to heal myself. So each time I receive an anger, okay, what can I do to not go into overthinking? So I've studied
Mm.
my mind, my body, and I've blended psychology to it. So now I have wisdom. And life, you know, brings you wisdom. So I'll share an example. For example, when I got pregnant with my daughter, I needed to have a C-section. And after the C-section, my mind was such an anxious mind. Like I never experienced such a thing. I've always been more or less calm. And then I realized, oh my goodness, I see the impact being cut that it had on me. And so I started understanding what was cut. And I understand it from, you know, an Eastern medicine perspective, that you have pathway running through you and how those get affected and what the impact on your mind and what I needed to do. So it was all about analyzing and understanding. So I encourage everyone to observe themselves. Do not judge what you're going through. It's meant to teach you something. Learn from it. Be curious. Be playful. You're here to learn and grow. And your body, it's constantly giving you message so that you go to the next level and the next level.
I love that, because often we do question, what is wrong with me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? It's my fault, or why is this happening to me? I've heard that so many times myself, but I think if we can take some time and reflect and really take the time to see, what is this trying to teach me? What message this symptom is trying to give me? What needs more healing? What needs more attention? That's so beautifully said. Thank you so much. We have a comment from the audience, a couple. One question is, can you tell us more about mental health versus mental illness?
Yes, yes. So I believe, it's my particular belief, that actually mental illness is the road to mental health. That mental illness is just that you got yourself so off balance that your body is firing so many symptoms that your mind is picking up. And I'll explain a bit the relationship between, how you go to health to illness and vice versa, because it is a continuum, that happens. And so the idea, and it will link to what you just said also about the mind saying, what's wrong with me? The way we are in life, you walk in life and you pick up an emotion, either your own or someone else, and you just push it down or you go on with your life. Like, for example, you sit next to somebody anxious, you absorb that anxiety. And then your mind picks up fire alarm, fire alarm, fire alarm in the body. And it does what it knows what to do, is problem solve.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it problem solve, it's like, what's wrong? How can I fix this? There's something wrong with me. And it starts because it needs a problem to find a solution to. The idea there's nothing wrong, it's just there is stuck emotions in the body. And when we have a lot of them being stuck, the mind starts firing. And this is where you start having negative thoughts, because the mind looks at problem missing in order to fix it. The mind is a problem solver, so it needs a problem. There needs to be a wrong. That's the interpretation of the mind. So if you can, each time you think there's something wrong with me, think of it as it's your mind's interpretation that there is something that is stuck and not moving. And can you figure out what is it by tuning into what you're feeling? So now to go back to the question, from mental health to mental illness, is when you accumulate a lot of those emotions, you're not aware because you're not paying attention, you start developing mental illness. You start developing panic attack, anxiety, depression. Those thoughts become bigger. They're calling your attention because the reality is those thoughts just want to be healed. And if they're not healed, they increase. It's really like a fire alarm. It's calling your attention. And so this is where you go from mental health to mental illness. And in my practice, I help people go from mental illness to mental health by seeing this is just a signal asking you to rebalance yourself. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, Dr. Yasmin, I just want to ask you a couple of questions here with regards to this. As you can tell, I was getting a pen and a piece of paper out. So you mentioned how mental health and mental illness is a continuum, right?
Continuum, yes.
Yeah. So if you look at this, I'm not sure if you can.
I see it.
See, so back in the day, a lot of research papers used to talk about mental health, mental illness in quadrants. Like if this is a scale of mental health, if you woke up feeling good, that means you woke up feeling positive. That means you have positive, good mental health. If you woke up not feeling very good, demotivated, tired, or anxious, you're feeling like you lack a lot of energy, chances are you woke up with poor mental health, right? This is what a long time ago, a lot of research papers used to talk about. And they used to say that this is a scale of mental illness. This is low mental illness or no mental illness, and this is high. And it's about where you fit in this quadrant. But modern psychology today now is telling people, from what I'm reading, and that's why I'm clarifying this with you, is now it's this.
That's right.
And is this what you're referring to? That this is mental health, like when the way you're feeling, which is the way you're feeling. We all have mental health, but not everybody has mental illness.
That's right. Not everybody does, because it takes a lot of time for all of this to build up. Also, the idea about it is the more sensitive you are, the more you have a gift, the more you're likely to get off balance, and the more you are a bit likely to get mental illness. So the way I look at people who have mental illness, I look at them as actually having a very refined barometer. They just have nothing to balance themselves. And so, for example, let's take my example of somebody sitting next to me anxious. If I'm very sensitive, I'm going to feel it all. And then I'm going to go with my life, but I'm going to encounter another person and another, and it's going to build up. And by the end of the day, I'm going to be so off balance. Well, if I don't have such a sensitive barometer, it's just going to be, okay, I felt that anxiety, but no big deal. And so the more of balance, the more gifts. It comes together as a principle of yin and yang. But to go back to your continuum, there is that continuum that happened. But the reality is the two quadrants that you're talking about, they're the same. It's just I'm speaking about the continuum that goes this way, and the vertical line is about intensity. It's about, for example, let's say I go from having regular anxiety to having panic attack. Then some people have panic attack once a month. Others have them once every day. Some of them, their intensity are level 3, other are level 10. So you want to have something that measures the intensity. So the intensity is a vertical line. So the model hasn't shifted so much, but what you're describing is before it was more categorized, now it's more continuous. People are talking about it as something way much more fluid. Before it was like, oh my God, you're mentally ill. It's bad. It's an illness. Nowadays, it becomes you're just off balance.
That's beautifully explained. Thank you so much for taking the time. We have more comments coming in from the audience. That's so beautifully said. Thank you, Dr. Yasmin, for being here, sharing your wisdom. I second that. Another comment is that's so true. That's why it's so important to clean your energies, since we are constantly picking other people's energies. It's true. Yeah. I think I know who this is. We have another comment from the audience. If it's not healed, it will only increase. So rightly said.
That's right. And can I add to the first comment about cleaning energy? A lot of people think of cleaning energy through energy, stones, chakra healing, all of that. But for the reality, the most powerful way you clean the energy is tune into what your mind connects to. A lot of us connect to the negative. So I'm going to give you an example. If you're walking down the street and you don't want to walk on dog poo, a lot of people are going to be, where's the dog poo? Where is it? And by the end of the day, they will only have thought about dog poo when they really wanted to have a nice walk and they wanted the sun and the flowers. So the idea is the way you clean your energy is you pay attention to where your focus goes. Focus to the tree, the sun, the light. Yes, pay attention to the dog poo, but that should be secondary. And so that's the way you clean energy. When you encounter a person, are you tuning into their angst and negativity, or are you tuning into their beauty and their gifts? That's how you clean your energy. And that's way much more powerful. And you can do that all day long. You are constantly cleaning your energy. Much more powerful than taking 30 minutes to do an energy practice.
That is so, so, so helpful. Thank you for sharing that. You're amazing. We have another comment from the audience. Oh, it's a question. What are some self-assessing symptoms you can shed light on for someone who may be suffering from poor mental health or a mental illness? Very good question. Thank you.
Can you repeat it one more time?
What are some self-assessing symptoms
Okay.
you can shed light on for someone who may be suffering from poor mental health or perhaps mental illness?
Okay, so how to assess yourself and how to assess your symptoms. Okay, the idea is check in. How are you feeling? So you want to check in, like, start at the mind level. That's the easiest. What are the thoughts that I'm having? Make a check-in for yourself in the morning, in noontime, and in the evening. What are the quality of your thoughts? Are they all problem-solving thoughts? Are they all negative thoughts? Or are they more gratitude thoughts? Where is your mind? Where is it on that continuum? Are you more towards the negative? Are you more towards the positive? That's a very easy assessment, and that would give you a screenshot of your health, because what happens in your mind happens in your body. Now, for some, it's easier to tune into the body. How is your body feeling? You can start with your stomach, you can start with your heart. How is every single part of your body feeling? And you can have, you can screen your body and see, how are my shoulder feeling right now? Ooh, it's tense. Okay, I'm carrying a lot of burden. Okay, let me release it. Let me shake it. Let me release it. Then you go to the stomach. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Okay, how can I digest better? What can I do? Because your stomach digests thoughts and emotion as much as food. When you're not comfortable there, you're beyond digesting too much. So you can tune into your body, you can tune into your mind. But those are easy self-assessment that everybody should do, because that's an easy way to rebalance yourself. And this shows you the way. Your body, your mind shows you the way. You just have to take time to look at it.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. We have another question here from the audience. What are 3 tips you can share for someone who is new to therapy?
Okay, so repeat that question one more time. So it's the tips.
What are 3 tips you can share for someone who is new to therapy, never done therapy before?
Okay, so the first tip is, how do you feel? The most important part about therapy is, how do you feel in the presence of the therapist? We all have feelings. Don't ignore it. Don't think that they're the expert. If you do not feel comfortable in the room, they're not the right match. So the first tip is picking the right person. And that can be hard because you don't know who's good, who's not good. But the moment somebody talks, you feel them and you know them. Somebody, they do it through the mind, somebody do it through the feeling. So the first tip is, follow your gut. You know if this person's the right person for you. First tip. The second tip is, can you be curious about yourself, and can you be okay with being vulnerable? Because the key to therapy is to open oneself up and observe. So your first task, if you're new to therapy, is to look at yourself and not share your trauma, your past, but look at, am I comfortable opening up? And if I'm not, what are the obstacles? Because if you cannot open up, you cannot be helped. It cannot come in. It just, you cannot receive. And so the next question is, how can you feel comfortable opening up? What do you need? Do you need time? Do you need safety? Do you need trust? Or what is it that you need? Or do you need to empower yourself to feel strong? What do you need? But so that is a very important tip for therapy. And the third one is, look at this as, it's your growth opportunity. There's nothing wrong with you. It's absolutely normal to be in therapy. And therapy, can be good for anyone. You do not need to have mental health symptoms to go to therapy, because therapy is just about somebody helping you look within and fix and grow. It's all that it is. It's not necessarily about fixing, it's just helping you look within. And, I can see you better than I see myself. So it's very easy to have the right person tell you, this is what I see. And through that lens, you're like, oh, yes. And you go deeper. So those are my 3 tips for therapy.
That was really well said. To summarize it all, what she just shared was follow your gut, be open to opening up.
That's right.
That's how we can receive. And lastly, therapy is not just meant for the sick people. It's meant to help grow yourself individually and tune into some parts of yourself that perhaps you didn't have access to. And I second that 100%. As a matter of fact, I believe the first time I ever myself, it wasn't the first time. I would say as a grown up, as an adult, when I went for therapy about 4 years ago, I changed 4 therapists. So I found someone who wasn't necessarily from my background, my ethnic background, but she had an understanding of the culture. And it was just our energies were sort of similar, and it was just such a good connection, and she shared something with me that was so good to hear, because I grew up being a high performer myself, and so going to therapy was to come to terms that within myself that doesn't mean that I don't have what it takes. This is to elevate and to take me down further, so I can keep growing and keep doing the work that brings me so much joy and not feel burnt out, don't lack energy, give in my best and all of that. So I remember my therapist told me that 80% of her clients are entrepreneurs and C-level executives.
Yes.
This was so good to hear, because it's not like they're not well. It's just they want to continue to show up at their best, highest self.
That's right. And I would add that, most people who are, executive and are high performance, they have been able to succeed. They totally have it. They have all the accomplishment, they have all the achievement. But it's like we all have a continuum of growth. Once you have established a career, you have a house, you have, the money, you are safe. The next step is inner peace. And inner peace is very hard to achieve by yourself. So people think they're coming to therapy for mental illness, but they're not. They're going because they're at level of rising their level of consciousness. So most people who actually come to therapy come, to rise their level, that now most of them are the level that they establish self-esteem through achievement and is no longer doing it. And they have to do a deeper work of establishing self-esteem on who they are and what their gifts are and how they can continue to manifest their gift while living a balanced life. And that is the challenge.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Raising their level of consciousness, because that's what it is. Thank you so much, Dr. Yasmin. We have another question from the audience. In the current pandemic scenario, could you give us some tips or techniques to manage our sanity and our mental health?
Yes. So I will tell you what I think about the pandemic, because that will give you the tips that go with it. Yeah. The pandemic, what has happened is, prior to the pandemic, you were not feeling well, you will go to the gym, you will hang out with a friend, you will heal yourself by outside source. The pandemic totally cut this off. The pandemic removed how you heal yourself with outside world. Yeah. And really push you to look at yourself in the mirror. And we all saw our imbalances. The problem is we don't know how to fix it. So if you can look at what you're feeling, at something that's calling your attention to be balanced. So If you're feeling fidgety, you cannot take this anymore. What is it saying? It's saying that you're someone who wants movement, who needs movement, who lacks movement. Now, how can you get that movement? Don't think about it external movement, think about it internal movement. That means you're somebody who needs to create. How can you create? Can you find what you like? Can you incorporate that movement? So, my tip is look within, first step. Second step, identify what is bothering you and heal it internally. Look at the message behind it. So, if you're feeling anxious, what am I feeling anxious? Because I'm scared of the unknown. Okay, so what do you need? You need a new mindset to deal with unknown. That is your growth opportunity. Who are you? Well, I'm somebody who believes in facts and research. So then you need to look at all the facts and research to grow that mindset. If you're somebody who's more into feeling or, yeah, let's go with feelings, then the idea, what will give you a feeling of safety? Well, maybe meditation, maybe going deep within and solidifying yourself so that you feel strong internally in your body and mind. And that's how you'll heal that anxiety of unknown. So those are my tips. So I'll repeat them. Look within is the first one. The second is try to see what is the message behind the symptom. What is it you need to heal, and heal it internally.
So good. Thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing tips, and they're very practical for anyone to take on.
Yes. The idea is we all want to become expert at decoding our mind and body, at decoding our messages. If you can practice this, you will have natural growth constantly. That is the key. And it is very practical and simple. It's a habit of looking at things differently.
Absolutely. We're about to wrap up our episode today. I can't believe it's already been 30 minutes, but we have two questions right before we wrap up. The first question is a bit quirky. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, healing is the superpower. Healing is just because you can heal yourself constantly. The reality is we all have that power, and I do believe I have that power. So the question is connect constantly to that superpower. Your body heals itself constantly. Tune into the magic of it. Like when you get a cold, you recover. Did you ever wonder how does it heal? How does it heal? It has the ability to tune into that, and you'll heal to your healing potential. So that's my superpower, and that's everybody's one.
Beautiful. So well said. And I resonate with that a little bit. If there's one message that you could share with someone that's perhaps tuned in right now watching, perhaps they're a bit lost, they're looking for some guidance, what would you like to tell them?
So if you're lost and you're needing guidance, it means you're trying to understand with your mind and trying to solve problem with your mind. But the reality is what you need is love, because love heals everything. And so the idea is, how can you look at yourself with loving eyes? How can you understand that everything that's happening to you is a preparation for your next growth? How can you look at every single thing through the eyes of gratitude and love? It's meant to give you something deep. It might not feel good, it might not taste good, it might be a bit bitter, but it's meant to trigger something. It's meant for the push. So can you connect to the frequency of love? And the frequency of love is about things happen for you. So that would be my biggest tip.
So incredible. Dr. Yasmin, I wish I could continue to talk to you, because I know you published 2 books as well. And would you like to quickly just mention what these books are and what people can find in them?
Sure. So I wrote actually 2 chapters in a book. I'm about to publish my book about how to transform negative thoughts and negative emotions. So when that comes out, it will be very important for everyone. But the 2 chapter, one is in Ignite Possibilities. And it's my own transformational journey from pain to empowerment. And I show people how a miscarriage led me to have emotional, physical pain, led me to find Eastern medicine, led me to change the world of psychology. And now a lot of psychologists are helping so many other people through a blend of psychology and Eastern because of a miscarriage. So it shows people what you think you're going through might bring greatness to the world. Just wait and see. So that's the one. And the other one is the COVID experiences, personal matter, personal life. It's called Because You Matter, with the warrior journeys, of mental health workers.
That's incredible. Well, I hope everyone that took the time to tune in found this discussion valuable. We talked about how to transform your psychological pain into empowerment today. And please take some notes, because reviewing notes daily actually helps you live it eventually. So review your notes on a regular basis. And where can people find you if they'd like to contact you directly to further the discussion?
Yes. So my group practice name is Madison Park Psychological Services. So the website is madisonparkpsych.com, and the Instagram is Madison Park Psych. And you can find me on LinkedIn. So those are the 3 best ways to reach me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Yasmin, for your time today to speak to us on a Friday. You have honestly provided very practical tools and advice for anyone to take some time to reflect on. I know I certainly am going to do that. And I know my team is very, very excited for the post-production of this interview. So thank you so much once again for being here.
Thank you. It's really my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Incredible. For everyone else that's watching till the end, we have a gift for you. Send us an email at info@reachouttogether.com, and we would send you a free copy of my excerpt that I published in my book, Success Strategies, with my mentor, Jack Canfield. It's completely free of cost. All that you have to do is send an email at info@reachouttogether.com to receive your excerpt. My excerpt won Editor's Choice Award from the publishing company. That's really, really exciting. And it's something that I can promise you is going to make you think slightly differently and look at the world slightly differently. So send us that email to receive your gift. And if you have a mental health story you would like to share, reach out to us, Ankita@reachouttogether.com. We want to interview you and we want to help spread your wisdom. Thank you so much. Dr. Yasmin, this was excellent. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Well deserved.
Thank you.